Hey, GetFox here. So today I got a video about my interview with Rex I had for the MUT Men Podcast number 70. As many of you know, I kind of screwed that audio up of the whole thing, and we actually talked for over 2 hours on Madden development, Madden changes, everything. Luckily, a lot of what we talked about was in the blogs that have been released, kind of some of the things that we'll see next year. But here's basically my remembrances. I'm not going to be, not everything, because there's a lot we talked about, but let's just get right into it. So we talked a lot about the game development, including how the MUT people are now talking with the gameplay people more than ever before. Kind of Rex as now the lead of both of them, of everything almost. He's moving into a higher role next year too. We talked about them basing the abilities in MUT. It felt like the abilities I said were kind of tacked down to the gameplay afterwards. He said that is completely true. So much more this year than ever. They talking more with the MUT people in the gameplay, so it should be a more consistent experience. But there are no current plans to add the CFL as DLC to Madden. That one's for you, Seek. They balanced the 18 ratings. So they balanced, 18 based on the MUT ratings of when the game launches and when the game ends. The end game content. We get these, like the game in August doesn't play the same as the game in June or July when everybody's running with like 97, 99 speed guys. It's much different than 89 to 87 speed dudes. So they made sure to do it both sides. They took basically end game content from this year and tested it for the game next year, which is really cool. They also do testing with what Rex called spot testing, where they match up specific players against each other, like John Ross against Richard Sherman, to see if the game can handle a slower but skilled CB on a fast but raw rookie. So they do that actually quite frequently. That was interesting to hear that they make those because, in real life, I said Sherman feels like he could handle John Ross because of experience, but in Madden, it's not that way at all. Like a press cover 3 in Madden, that's a touchdown. So hopefully 18 will show us spot tests and not too much exploitable stuff like that with different static guys, and that their besides for speed attributes will matter. They also we talked a bunch about thresholds, a big portion of and how they're a limiting factor in like MUT. So basically what I'm trying to say, like if a receiver has 100% chance at catching the ball at 90 catching, then what's the point of getting a 98 catching wide receiver? He said that's a big thing for them, and they know that's kind of like some of the sacrifice, and they're looking He talked about kind of their talks they had. They brought in Problem, they brought in other competitive players, and that's kind of what they decided to go with, is these thresholds. And what after you beat this, you get 100%. So basically next year, look for those thresholds to be beat. But he said, I don't recall exactly what his reasoning for it. Just like, there's other stats besides catching to get an upgraded card, essentially. But 90 does seem to be the threshold for tier 5 moves, is what he call them. So we can no longer call them, I used to call them like A level moves, like A, B, C, D. They call them internally tier 5 at 90. So like tier 4 would be 80 and so on and so forth. So tier 5 moves like trucking, spin, elusiveness, juke, and stiff arm. That 90 is the more animation. So basically at that level, more animations open up for you. But I asked him what's the difference between 90 trucking and 98 trucking, and he said that's the win rate calculation that kind of slants that formula into your favor. So 90 for animations, but the higher overall, the better chance you have to win. So you can still win with lower animations. The dice just have to roll on your side. Rex has analytics. I was very interested in analytics and what they can see for basically play data, but to see how many yards these analytics show for each play on each down, each mode, like the amount of different, let's say, categories that he went through for the analytics that he has, it's quite in depth and interesting. So I asked him if there's something they could do to open this to the public with like a global profile. He said it's on their list. Like basically what I'm asking, if we can get our own stats. So we can see how many yards per play, per everything, and then maybe see everybody's data. He says that's down the line. We're not getting that in 18, but maybe 19, 20, 21, who knows. Player lock, I asked specifically about that. It will not be available in MUT, only MUT squads. So that smoke route glitch that we had last year that was patched out, that hopefully won't be in squads, but it's definitely not in MUT next year. So playmaker, I asked him, where's playmaker now that left trigger is direct or target passing, and he says on the right thumbstick. So I think all you have to do is hit the right thumbstick in 18, and that kind of makes me wonder where's the pump fake at. I didn't ask that, but he balances a lot of the game around NFL averages. His goal is to make the game look like the NFL, so his goal is to take out exploits like swerves and nanos. So that's something I respect it. that the pass will average more yards than the run, but, you know, the run's good for controlling the clock like that run right there. And they got tripped up. Madden developers worked on NBA Live this year to help get that game going, so that is something that Rex talked about. He basically talked about in corporate speak, but I said so. Madden basically lost resources to NBA Live this year, and he said it differently. They shared knowledge and kind of that kind of stuff. I did ask him. I asked him a funny question like, so did our MUT dollars pay for that NBA party that they had, the NBA Live party? He had a good chuckle on that one. So he has a roadmap through 2021 for Madden. So we got quite the what's the word? Future to look forward. He knows what he's doing. You will not be able to disable nano detection as an option in Play a Friend. That was a question I was asked to ask. Wide receiver and O-line down the field blocking has improved greatly going into 18, so like improvised screens and whatnot, but do not expect defensive players to be much better at blocking after a pick. That's something he says he doesn't remember they specifically looked at it, but it might have been something that was improved. We don't know. Would you like to have Madden to have a similar beta process as 18, I asked. He said yes, and the reason Madden didn't have one this year was because of Frostbite. Would he be willing to shift to a Call of Duty style development cycle where the game is made by a different studio on a rotating basis? He says no. I said, well, we just need to give you more resources, hopefully, then. And he says, yeah, that'd be great. Longshot is trying to get into both. Longshot is tying into both MUT and career. Target passing, we talked about quite a bit. You'll have to set your feet to target pass, so scrambling and doing it in target passing won't work, but you can do it. You could still do it outside the pocket. It's just going to take you a little bit longer. We had a good combo on target passing, and what I foresee its issue being like target passing downfield, so defenders react there to where the target's going, and then the wide receiver can jump up for it, or targeting one wide receiver and another wide receiver grabs it. We also had a very interesting talk about the community around MUT between YouTubers, competitive players, coin promoters, and more. I'll reserve that portion if we can have them on again. But that's it. Thanks for watching. Call to action. I will see you tomorrow.